One last thing from Raw, the main event, which I know is still a sore spot for you all these days later. Jey Uso coming up short of winning the Intercontinental Championship from Gunther in another great match. I mean, the sky's blue, obviously. Gunther delivers as champion. When does he not? A really, really good match here. So the funny thing about, listen, Gunther was never really going to lose. Let's be honest here. I know you would ask me on Monday, is there any shot that Jey could win? I don't want to say no. I don't want to say no shot. I said there was no real shot is what I meant to say. I apologize. There was definitely a slight chance Jey could go over. I don't think it was 50-50. I don't think he was ever the favorite. Could he have won and taken the title to Mania to face Jimmy? Yes. Was that going to happen? Probably 90-10 not. I would even go, maybe not 95, but it was a very slim shot. And then that WrestleVotes report came out right after Raw, indicating that people backstage thought he was going to win. I mean, that wasn't the plan. I mean, people are treating this like they changed plans. I don't think that was ever the fucking plan. You don't just change plans on a title change like that when it's going to affect WrestleMania and it's on a random Raw before Elimination Chamber. I think they had just done that to swerve people backstage and maybe weed out the leakers and stuff like that. That sounds weird. But the people that leak information to the dirt sheets and the news websites and whatever. And I think if they do that, then great, because I don't really want that shit spoiled anyway. But Jey Uso ended up losing. Jimmy Uso cost him. I figured that would be the direction they went. And we talked about this a month ago. I asked you about it. And they did exactly what I thought they would. And we'll talk about Jimmy and Jey for a second. But just focus on the report for a second about from WrestleVotes. And whether they, if you thought a title change was really that possible and what their idea was behind telling people, hey, Jey might win, Jey's going to win, and then he doesn't.
Yeah, like you said, I think it's more just like the swerve and maybe get the Stooges out and just kind of see what happens if you kind of leak that information and it doesn't actually happen. But, yeah, I mean, that's all I have to say on the report, I guess.
What were your thoughts on the match itself?
I thought it was a really good match. I hated the finish. And like I said, I'm a mark, I get it. I just didn't like how he had him dead to rights in the middle of the ring and they ended it with the whole bell ringing. Like, theoretically, if the bells ring, shouldn't the match just be over at that point? So, then Gunther got up and hit him with a powerbomb 1, 2, 3. I don't know. I get why they did it, but as someone that was so invested, I fucking hated the finish. I literally jumped out of bed. I'm like, oh my god, he's gonna win. And the stupid bell ring. And then it's Jimmy with the hoodie, like we talk about. They lose the hoodie. The hoodie needs to go. It's just, I get what they try to do. It was different. It wasn't like he pulled the referee's leg out like they've done 1,000 times. So give him kudos on that, I guess. It was finally a different creative, in quotations, finish. But I just felt like he had him literally dead to rights in the middle of the ring and he got cost. And it sucked. But the match itself was good.
So was it just the execution or the fact that Jimmy Uso got involved?
I think it was just the way it happened. I just don't like the whole bell ring. I don't know.
Why would the referee not count 3? Is that your point?
It's just that, and it's I don't know. I just didn't love the way they did it. Like I said, I guess it's more creative than, like I said, him pulling out the referee again, like they just did at SummerSlam, but I don't know. I guess I knew that's where it was going because, like I said, that we know where it's. I don't know. I don't know if it's execution or what happened. I don't know. I didn't like it. I just didn't really like it.
So Jey Uso loses. He is not taking the title to WrestleMania. And this is not the first time that Jimmy Uso has cost him a championship. They lost the tag team titles, him and Jey and Cody, that is, because of Jimmy Uso back in October on Raw. He failed to win the Universal Championship at SummerSlam, obviously. We were there for that one. When he cost Jey the championship on that show against Roman Reigns. He also inadvertently actually cost him the United States Championship, too. I totally forgot about that until someone reminded me of it on Twitter a few days ago. Back in last June, I think that was when they were still friends and they were teasing tension, and they ultimately left the Bloodline, and then Jimmy Uso turned on him anyway and, rejoined the Bloodline, that whole dumb thing. But yeah, he cost him the United States Championship as well. And even, honestly, you can go as far back as the Universal Championship itself during Jey's 2 first opportunities at Hell in the Cell and Night of Champions in 2020. In I think it was Night of Champions he threw in the towel. And then at Hell in the Cell, he only did Jey because Jimmy was locked in the
guillotine.
Guillotine from Roman Reigns. I love how you know this stuff like the back of your hand. The Bloodline saga.
Is there anything with Jey Uso I can remember? Anything else? Foggy memory.
Yeah, right. No, but still, yeah, you're right though. It was the guillotine, and and he quit because of him. So this obviously goes back a long way. I have to ask you this, though. We already talked about it, so I already know the answer, but I got to get this on record. Does what we see on Monday with Jimmy costing him the championship, hitting the 2 splashes, really going all in on that attack, a pretty vicious attack, not too vicious, but aggressive enough, does that put any more heat on Jimmy Uso than what he had before? Does this make you care about Jimmy and Jey at WrestleMania one-on-one?
It does not. I spoke to my dad about this the other night, and he literally kind of echoed what we've been saying. And he's as casual as they come. It's just Jey is he's so over compared to where Jimmy currently is. Yeah, he attacked him. He cost him, like you said, 5. Technically, if we go all the way back, he's cost him 5 or 6 title shots. But at the end of the day, they have done a poor job on booking Jimmy Uso. I don't think that they didn't, we mentioned the other day in text, you're like, oh, maybe they didn't think Jey would be that over. Jey was that over before they even broke up. And once he kind of went on his own, I feel like the crowd got behind him. We saw that at SummerSlam, especially when he came to Raw. The crowd was clearly behind him. So that was in September, October. He's been getting more over it since that time. You think they maybe switched Jimmy's booking a little bit, but he's literally just been the joke stooge of the bloodline. Loses whenever it matters. Solo's only so serious one. Jimmy's a clown. And then they have him costing the belt here. I mean, I guess this is where we're going. I just have to accept it at this point, but I think they've done a terrible job building up Jimmy Uso.
You're right. I did say that I didn't think that they thought, I'm confusing myself here, that they didn't think that he might be as over as he was, Jey. Because you're right, he was over before they broke him up. I'm not sure if they thought it would be sustained on Raw, because Jey's lost a lot. Jey's lost the Intercontinental Championship opportunity, the World Heavyweight Championship opportunity, the Tag Team titles, and the list goes on. But he's still fucking over. But you're right, though. At a certain point, even a couple of months ago, you would think they've known about this match since SummerSlam. That's the whole reason why they broke them up, was to do this match. If they didn't intend on doing the match in Mania, they wouldn't have honestly probably broke him up. And I sure as fuck hope not that after they have their match in Mania or the feud or whatever it's going to be, how long it goes on for, and hopefully it ends in Mania, that they don't just put them right back together, because Jey Uso is... And nothing against Jimmy. Jimmy's fine. Jimmy is fine. He's a fine competitor. But both Jey and a lot of other people on the roster are far better than he is. He has his role in the show. He's good. Maybe it's because if they booked him as more of a threat, people wouldn't have taken it seriously, because I think Jimmy Uso beat AJ Styles at one point last year, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I know AJ's a stepping stone at this point, but Jimmy Uso is... He's an average competitor. Not that Jey's the greatest wrestler in the company, but he's just way more over, likable, better on promos, even better in the ring, which I would have never guessed 5 years ago with Jey Uso, but he's really come into his own in this main event Jey role. Yeah, man, I don't know. What do you think about the feud itself? Do you think they just do a match in Mania and then move on? But I was talking to Randy Cruz yesterday, and he was like, well, you could have Jimmy Uso win and then extend the feud. No thanks. Can we just have Jey Uso beat him and then just move on? There's no reason to make this a best of 3 or to extend this until Backlash. They just need to have Jey win so we can move the fuck on from this.
Yeah, I don't want to see this continue. Especially where Jey is. I think him losing to Jimmy just brings him down. Just beat Jimmy, move on, continue his quote-unquote story. I mean, he said he's trying to win a title this year, so I just continue back to that, and Jimmy can go carry Roman's bags. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a spot for Jimmy on the show, but being in the main event program is not it. I think they wanted to do the match, and that's great. They've wanted to face each other at Mania for a very long time now. Jimmy and Jey had that brother match, and 30 years removed from Brett and Owen at WrestleMania 10. That's great. 15 years removed from Matt and Jeff at WrestleMania 25. But Jimmy's just not, he's not that guy, so to speak, and Jey is, and that's why they need to just have Jey beat him so we can move on from this.